What if I told you that while everyone was obsessing over the Lamborghini Countach and Ferrari 512 in the 1970s, there were supercars being built that were so rare, so insane, and so ahead of their time that most people have never even heard of them? We're talking about cars with 6 wheels, engines that defied physics, and price tags that could buy entire city blocks. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why these machines were kept so secret. But before we dive into these automotive unicorns, hit that subscribe button because I guarantee you've never seen content like this anywhere else on YouTube. Ready? Let's go back to the wildest decade in automotive history. Panther 6. We start with something that looks like it drove straight out of a science fiction movie. The Panther 6. Yes, that's 6 wheels you're seeing. Built in 1977 by Panther Wines, this wasn't just a concept car fever dream. This thing was real. Under that wedge-shaped body sat a Cadillac 8.2-liter V8 engine pumping out 600 horsepower. But here's the insane part. They claimed it could hit 200 miles per hour. In 1977, the 4 front wheels were supposed to provide better steering control, while the massive rear wheels handled all that American V8 power. Only 2 were ever built. The original prototype and 1 customer car. That customer car? It was bought by a mysterious collector for what would be over $2 million in today's money. The location of both cars today remains one of the automotive world's greatest mysteries. 9. Monteverde High 450 SS. From Switzerland, yes, Switzerland, came one of the most beautiful and forgotten supercars of the decade. The Monteverde High 450 SS. While Switzerland is famous for watches and chocolate, they also created this absolute masterpiece. Peter Monteverde stuffed a 7-liter Chrysler V8 into a body designed by Fissor that was lower than a Lamborghini Miura. The result? A car that could embarrass Ferraris on the Autobahn while looking like automotive art. But here's what makes it truly rare. Only 2 high 450 SS models were ever completed. Not 20, not 200, just 2. One was used for racing development. The other disappeared into a private collection and hasn't been seen publicly since 1975. Swiss precision meets American muscle in the rarest package imaginable. 8. Vector W2. Before Vector became famous in the 1990s, there was the W2, a car so advanced that it looked like it was designed in 2025, not 1978. Gerald Wiegert had a vision: create the fastest car in the world using aerospace technology. The W2 featured a twin-turbocharged Chevrolet V8 producing over 600 horsepower, wrapped in a carbon fiber and Kevlar body that weighed less than 2,400 pounds. The interior looked like a fighter jet cockpit because that's literally what Wiegert was going for. Wiegert claimed the W2 could hit 230 miles per hour and accelerate from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. In 1978, these numbers were pure fantasy to most people. Only 3 W2 prototypes were built before Vector moved on to their W8 project. 1 prototype was destroyed in testing, leaving just 2 survivors. 7. Lancia Stratos HF Stradale. Everyone knows the Lancia Stratos as a rally legend, but what most people don't know is that Lancia built an even rarer street version called the HF Stradale. This wasn't just a detuned rally car. It was a completely different beast. The Stradale featured a Ferrari Dino V6 engine, but tuned for maximum street performance rather than rally durability. The body was wider, the suspension softer, and the interior actually comfortable enough for daily driving. If you could call driving a spaceship comfortable. Here's the shocking part. Only 492 Stratos were built for the street, making it rarer than most Ferraris of the era. But among those, fewer than 50 were built to the full HF Stradale specification. Most are locked away in Italian collections, never to be seen again. 6. The Tommaso Mangusta. The Tommaso Mangusta was designed to kill the Cobra, literally. Alejandro de Tommaso was so angry about losing to Carroll Shelby that he named his supercar after the mongoose, the only animal that hunts cobras. Under that stunning Giugiaro design body sat a Ford 302 V8 producing 230 horsepower. But power wasn't the Mangusta's party trick, handling was. The mid-engine layout and near-perfect weight distribution made it one of the best handling supercars of its era. Only 401 Mangustas were ever built, and fewer than 100 came to the United States. Today, finding one for sale is like finding a unicorn. When they do appear at auction, they sell for over $500,000, if the owner is even willing to sell. 5. Bricklin SV1. Malcolm Bricklin had a dream: build the safest sports car in the world. The result was the SV1 Safety Vehicle 1, a car so ahead of its time that it nearly bankrupted an entire Canadian province. The SV1 featured integrated roll bars, energy-absorbing bumpers, and those incredible gull-wing doors. The body was made from fiberglass and acrylic resin, making it both lightweight and impact-resistant. It was like driving a fighter jet designed by a safety engineer. But here's where it gets crazy. Only 2,854 SV1s were built before the company collapsed, taking millions in government funding with it. Today, survivors are worth more than Porsches from the same era, despite being powered by a Ford the 5.8 that most people considered underpowered. For Dome Zero, from Japan came something completely unexpected: the Dome Zero. While Japan was known for efficient economy cars, Dome had other plans: build a supercar that could compete with anything from Italy or Germany. The Zero featured a mid-mounted Nissan L28 inline-six engine. But that wasn't the impressive part. The impressive part was the body, a wind tunnel-tested masterpiece that achieved a drag coefficient of just 0.28, better than most modern supercars. Only 2 Dome Zeros were ever completed. One served as a show car, the other was used for testing and development. Neither ever reached production, making them among the rarest Japanese performance cars ever built. The project died when Dome shifted focus to racing, leaving these 2 prototypes as the only evidence of Japan's first serious supercar attempt. 3. Schuppe 962 CR. What happens when you take a little man's race car and try to make it street legal? You get the Schuppe 962 CR, one of the most extreme road cars ever attempted. Australian racing driver Vern Schuppen took a Porsche 962 race car chassis and modified it for road use. The result was a car with genuine Le Mans racing DNA that you could theoretically drive to the grocery store, if you were insane enough to try. The 962 CR featured a twin-turbocharged flat-six producing over 600 horsepower in a car that weighed less than 2,200 pounds. The power-to-weight ratio was better than most modern hypercars. Only 6 were ever completed, each hand-built and costing more than a house. 2. Istera Imperator 108i. This story begins with a Mercedes-Benz concept car called the CW311. When Mercedes decided not to build it, engineer Eberhard Schultz bought the rights and created something even more extreme: the Istera Imperator. The Imperator featured a Mercedes-AMG V8 engine mounted behind the driver, gull-wing doors, and styling that looked like it came from the year 2050. The interior was pure luxury, with leather everywhere and instruments that belonged in a spaceship. Only 30 Imperatos were built between 1974 and 1993, making each one a $1 million unicorn today. But here's the kicker: only 3 were built in the 1970s with the original specification. The rest came later with updated engines and electronics. 1. Ferrari 512S Modulo. And our number 1 rarest supercar of the 1970s isn't just rare, it's unique. There is literally only one in existence. The Ferrari 512S Modulo, designed by Paolo Martin at Pininfarina, was so radical that even Ferrari wasn't sure what to do with it. The Modulo featured a 5-liter V12 engine from Ferrari's 512S race car, but wrapped in a body that looked like a flying saucer. There were no doors. You entered through the hinged windshield. The interior had just one seat and controls that looked like they belonged on a starship. For decades, people thought the Modulo was just a non-functional show car. But in 2014, Ferrari restored it to full working condition, proving that this wasn't just automotive art. It was a genuine, functional supercar. Today, it's worth over $10 million and remains one of the most radical cars ever built. The Modulo represents everything amazing about 1970s automotive design: bold, experimental, and completely uncompromising. It's not just the rarest supercar of the decade. It's one of the most important cars ever built.